So the other day I'm walking down the street and I see something that kind of shocked me, to tell you the truth. It's this guy talking to this girl and he's making a joke, right? And she's laughing, which is nothing wrong with that. On the contrary, that's actually pretty smart. But it was their demeanor, their body posture, the way they were expressing themselves in the way that they were walking together. He was making jokes and making her laugh, but he was the clown. He was subservient to her. You could see it in his posture, and more importantly, you could see it in the way that she was walking. She was walking straight ahead like she had a purpose, and he was sort of like orbiting her, like hopping around her and making these jokes. And they must have been very funny because they were both laughing, she especially, but she wasn't looking at him. She was looking straight ahead like he was just a entertainment. Yeah, he was her jester, her clown, her little toy, her amusement. She wasn't taking him seriously. And that's the thing. There's nothing wrong with making a girl laugh. On the contrary, you should make her laugh. And even making self-deprecating remarks is perfectly fine. It's the way that you're presenting yourself, the way the relationship is implicitly arising. This guy I saw them for just, less than a minute, okay? But just in that little glance, I could tell everything about them. She was not taking him seriously, and he was desperately trying to get her attention like a puppy. It was pathetic. And it's easy to fall for that trap. It's easy to fall into that groove of chasing, like a little puppy, chasing the woman, and the woman is just going straight ahead and sort of like, he's so cute, yeah, and just like sort of like ignoring you. Yeah, it's very, very easy. Just glancing at this couple and thinking about it, it made me reevaluate the way I approach women and how I joke with them. And I realize that what I do often is that when I make a joke, more often than not at my own expense, a self-deprecating joke, I sort of like turn away. I ignore her. I laugh and then proceed to do other things to make her come after me. Because in the man-woman relationship, you always have to realize that there is a point of leaning forward towards her and then pulling away and making her lean towards you. A guy who's constantly leaning forward, if you are constantly leaning forward, she's gonna lean back. She's gonna feel in control of the situation. She's not gonna have any incentive to be pursuing you because you're coming at her. You're pursuing her. You see? I mean, this kind of like back and forth, ebb and flow of the relationship is really important. This kind of push-pull. Why? Why are you doing it? To establish that bond. But if you're constantly going forward like an orbiter does, like a jester joker does, right? No, she's always going to be just a little bit beyond your grasp and always going off looking for someone else, not you. And that's the whole point. You want her to be chasing you. And that's why you have to pull away. I mean, you could tell me that I just saw this couple for, just less than a minute as they were walking by and saw that whole relationship. But you could tell that he was always the one leaning forward. And so she was pulling away, going somewhere else, not towards him. You could just see it. And you're going to say that, oh, it was too short, whatever. But I saw what I saw, and I've seen it before. That's the point. Okay, this wasn't like a unique situation. I've seen it lots of times. You see it all the time with beta orbiters. Yeah, beta orbiter is constantly chasing after the girl. Yeah, like a dog chasing a car. And what happens? Does the dog ever get the car? Of course he doesn't. No, the car is ever so elusive to the puppy. And that's what's going on. You don't want to be the puppy. You don't want to be the joker, the clown, the jester, the amusement. There's nothing wrong with being funny. In fact, it's essential to be funny. Because if you're like a really serious guy all the time, in the West at least, the women in the West, they're not really going to like you. Interestingly enough, women in Eastern Europe, they really like that strong silent type. The guy who's just never smiling and always, just stone cold and like a stone. I mean, just not moving, not expressive. In Eastern Europe, they like that. They do not like a guy who's particularly expressive in Eastern Europe. But in the West, it's a different fashion because it is a fashion. Now, you have to understand, in the West, you have to be funny. You have to be interesting. You have to like spark her up by doing something, by your personality, your force of personality. There has to be something, but you have to be very careful how you deploy your force of personality. If you're acting like a joker, a jester, always chasing after her like a puppy chasing a dog, she's not going to take you seriously. She's not going to want to go after you. But if you make a joke, a funny joke, even at your expense, and sometimes especially at your expense, and then you turn away, just turn away from her. Almost like turning away to look for somebody else, some other girl. That's when she'll chase you, because she'll want to repeat that high that you give her. You see? Because see, women are emotional creatures. They are looking for a man who will provide them with certain emotions. And in the West, the emotion that a woman wants is sort of like excitement. And if that excitement is funny and amusing, that's great. But she wants excitement. She wants excitement the same way that a junkie wants a hit of heroin. You see? I mean, think of it. The junkie, why does he take heroin? Because it makes him feel good. A woman wants a guy that will make her feel good. And when she gets that feeling of pleasure from the man, that's terrific. But the second that you give her that pleasure, you turn away from her. You pull back and go off in another direction. She's going to be like, no, 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 the source of pleasure is getting away from me, and she's going to chase after you. Exactly like a junkie chasing a high. That's the situation, because the relationship is the same. You see, you have to be dealing in emotions with a woman, like a drug dealer. It sounds insane, but think about it. You have to be providing a woman with emotions, strong emotions, but always be a little out of reach. Always have her chasing you, not you always available. I mean, think of a junkie, right, whose dealer is always there and always ready to give him a hit. Yeah. And the dealer is like, oh, you don't have any cash? Don't worry, I'll give it to you for free. I mean, yeah, the junkie would be incredibly happy with such a dealer, but what happens in the relationship? Who's the dominant player in the relationship? Certainly not the dealer now, is he? No. But if the dealer sort of like says, sure, I'll give you some heroin, and then turns away, pulls back, what happens with the junkie? He chases after the dealer. You are the dealer. You are dealing in emotions. Understand the relationship. A quick announcement. Tomorrow, Saturday, I'm going to be hosting my weekly webinar on Patreon. The weekly webinar is a weekly show where I discuss different topics, and tomorrow I'm going to be talking about planning your life and also budgeting. Now, these are topics that a lot of people are interested in, a lot of guys are interested in. On Patreon, you can find over 100 videos that you'll find nowhere else. Go check it out, and if you're interested, please subscribe to Patreon there. Link is in the description below, and I hope to see you tomorrow at the weekly webinar.